back from work and I've got a couple of things that I would like to put in the post that I'll open up with you. I think this is my giant Amaryllis. Very exciting. Still buying Amaryllis in January. Just obsessed. And I bought these two reduced orchids. Now I'm a recovered orchid addict, really. I bought loads. I had over 100 and I couldn't care for them all and I couldn't recuperate them all. And I got mealybug infestations and it was all horrible. So most of them went in the bin, much to my heartbreak. But I couldn't resist these guys, down from £7 to £1. I'm sure I could do something with them. So let's have a look, see what the first stage is. Excuse any rubbish on the table. So I'm going to take them out and have a wee look, see what we've got. If you're buying orchids that are damaged in any way or that are reduced in shops, I mean, you can obviously, if something's as cheap as these, you can take a punt and see what happens. But basically, you don't want the leaves to be too wrinkly. These are a wee bit wrinkly. That means the dehydration set in. What you want is the kind that have just fallen over in the shop. They've lost some of their medium, but they'll be okay if you can pot them up and get them back to health. So what I'm doing is I'll take off the sticks. We'll just have a wee look at what we're looking at here. Take off the clips and the sticks. I think it just got really dehydrated. It must have fallen out. You can see that the roots are just crispy, but not beyond it. I'm taking out the little plug here. When you get orchids, they tend to be grown by the grower with a little plug of peat or coir. I'll just take that out just now. There's quite a lot that could be removed here. I'm taking off all the old bits and bobs. I might just get my scissors to them now. Sometimes I wait till after I've rehydrated them a bit to see what roots are plump and what aren't. But this one really is, I think, pretty obvious in places what's not going to be helpful to keep on the plant. So taking out all the old medium, all the old orchid bark. It's come off pretty easily. You can see here, if you've got a root like this, oops, it's chunky. Its orchid roots have this coating called velamen, which I always thinks a bit like a sleeping bag that soaks up all the water and then feeds the root inside. I'll see if I can find, I'll just pull this off so you can see the inside root. You see that stringy root? That's the actual root. So the outside absorbs the water and feeds it to the root. But this root's gone. So what I'm going to do, take my scissors, which should be sterilised. Right, I'm going to snip off both flower buds and I'm going to snip them off right down at the base to give it a chance to recuperate. Have a wee feel about, and then we're just going to snip off dead roots. Some orchid roots are funny because they can be alive partially the way down, then dead, and then alive again. You just have to do your best. See, this one looks awful. Then it divides into one good root and one dodgy root. So I'm just going to cut off the dodgy bit. Because this poor orchid at the moment will be in shock. It's dehydrated. It's been lying goodness knows how long on the shop floor. Just getting in worse and worse shape. It's not the worst one I've ever seen by any means, but hopefully it's salvageable. Here we go, we're almost there. There isn't a lot to it. Trim these roots off. And then we're going to take the roots that we think look half decent and soak them. Go. So what we've done, hopefully now, is removed bits that the plant doesn't need and that may rot and be detrimental to the health of the plant. It can be the old medium, which has sometimes the orchid bark does stick to the roots. Right, so that's pretty clean now. Keep that guy on. I'll trim off his end. There we go. And then I'm going to let it soak for a little while in lukewarm warm water just to rehydrate it as much as we can. There we go. Some people say not to feed your orchid when you're recuperating it. I do like to give it, I'm just going to give it a little squish of this stuff, which I got reduced as well some time ago now, but I'm just going to give it a tiny little squish like that. And then we're just going to let it sit in there and think about his life for a good few hours. Now, there might be people at home thinking, but you're not meant to soak orchids in water. They hate it. There we go. He can sit in there. We'll have a look at his pal. Yes, that ideally is true. You know, if you, oh, this one's coming straight out. Having no issues there. Orchids generally do not like to be soaked in water. When you water them, if you leave them to soak in the water for days and days and days, they will rot, the roots will rot, and that'll be the end of your orchid. Because an orchid is an epiphyte, which means it normally clings onto tree bark in tropical climates where it can be very what's the word? Humid. Can be very humid, and they love that. So they just pick up, they cling onto the bark. They're not parasitic. They don't eat of the bark, but they cling onto it. These roots are much worse than the other roots. These are quite far gone actually. With the leaves look slightly better. Well, maybe not. Doesn't look great, but we'll give it a go. Yes, so epiphytes, they cling on and they use their vantage point to grab all the moisture from the air. And they love that. So the water, they never sit in water. They never have that relationship with water, and therefore the roots are built for that kind of, to absorb the passing water in the air. So we get them in maybe drier climates and stick them in pots filled with wet compost, and they don't like that so much. And the roots go, stop it, I'm rotting, I'm dead. rotten, dead. So that's why the pots usually have lots of holes in them, and that's why the compost bark or the compost medium that you use is very airy and very free draining. And they say, oh well, at least it's not soil, I'll stay in this for a little bit. These roots are terrible. Oh, good. Hopefully we can get some more going quite soon. Feed this poor plant some water. Yes, so point of that rant was that's why they don't like to sit in water. But when you get a dehydrated plant, or you get a plant that you want to feed moisture to, I put you in there as well. Can you both sit in the same one? Can you? Let's have a look. Oh, he's greening up nicely already. See how the roots are already absorbing all the good stuff. Right, I'll put you in there. Put your pal in as well. You never, well, maybe you're not going to fit it together. I'll get another one. Yeah, so they need time to absorb the water and to absorb the nutrients in the roots and to feel good about life again and start feeding it back to the plant. So really a couple of hours should do it. get them all nice and juiced up. I don't have huge hopes for this guy because his roots are so awful. He's going to have to grow some working roots pretty sharpish, like. There's just absolutely nothing to them. Right, okay, we'll see if the little ones there can sustain him for a wee bit. Oh, hasn't got such a good rest him like that. Okay, so that's our orchids have gone into rehab. Once they've been sitting in the water for a while, I'll bring you back and we shall pot them up. I'm going to put them back into the little pots that they came in because there's plenty of room in there, especially for the lack of roots in one, but with fresh medium, and keep an eye on them and hopefully they'll start to take off. It's a good time of year to do it because this is part of the year that they're not actively growing but they are flowering. So hopefully by getting them ready for spring now and rehabbing the roots a little bit, we can get some action over spring. So I'll tidy up this and then we shall have a look at the parcel and hopefully it's my Amaryllis. If it's not, it's a very short video. Right, I ordered it off eBay, I think, if I remember rightly, and it's the most expensive Amaryllis bulb that I've bought this year. I've also ordered a batch of ones that were much more reasonable, and they were so reasonable and so lovely that I bought 2 lots, and that was from Gardener's Express. They were doing a batch of 6 Amaryllis bulbs for 6 Amaryllis bulbs that were a decent size. They were mixed varieties, so you didn't know what you were going to get. That was £19. There was postage on top of that, which was quite substantial, but it was so good, I did buy it again. So here we are. This is what you get. Garthwaite Nurseries. Indoor bulbs, wreaths, spring bulbs, summer bulbs, perennials. Lovely, lovely. Ooh, it's quite chunky. Now, I'm trying to remember how much I paid for this. It was in the about £18, I think, which is way more than I paid for one Amaryllis. Most otherwise was £10, and that came with, as a kit. That was from Morrison's. I got a couple of those lovely ones. Oh my goodness, this is like gorgeous. This one is called Magic Green. Oh, look at this baby. Look at this baby. It's like the most gorgeous thing I've ever seen. Fabulous, isn't it? Fabulous. Right. Oh, it's got little babies. It's got babies coming. There's another baby there. Another baby there. How exciting. What a size of bulb. I love it. They're called giant bulbs. And it's got to be in very good condition. No bumps, scrapes. I'm just going to take off a little bit of the papery stuff, which is what I do. You don't have to do that. It can protect the bulb, but it can also harbour diseases and beasties and stuff. Aesthetically, prefer the look of the bulb without so much papery stuff on. Now, the reason I wanted to buy a big bulb was because I bought a nice vase and I was going to do this in water. I've got one in water already, which is quite a large bulb, but for this other vase that I bought, I needed a bigger bulb. All the ones I had looked too small. There we go. What a massive, solid thing. I just love it. Just love it. No more bulb envy for me. Right. I shall go and get my vase so you can see it and see. Still get addicted to peeling all this stuff off. There we go. Right, okay, lovely. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Now, I'll go get my vase we'll have a look and we'll see. The roots look good. They look like they've been trimmed already. I don't want to take off too much of the, I mean, you can if you want to snip off the sort of scabby dead ones, the very skinny ones. Encourage more root growth. But that's fine. Right. Bear with me and I'll get my vase to put it in. I thought I was being clever by getting a vase that was, because we were in Amsterdam a while back and I bought a specific Amaryllis vase, which was beautiful. Still is. It's doing its stuff upstairs at the moment. And I thought, oh, if I could just buy a normal vase that, you know, I could use that goes in a bit that will support the Amaryllis, that would be great. So I bought this from TK Maxx and it was £12, I think. And I thought, that's perfect. Every single Amaryllis I've tried and it's fallen straight through the hole. I've never had one big enough. So I'm hoping that this one's big enough. Okay. So here's my vase. Here's my bulb. Fingers crossed. That sits beautifully on top and the roots go down into the water like that. Very pleased with that. Now, the reason why I've got the stones in the bottom, apart from being decorative, I might need a few more, is for the roots to grow into them and help to stabilise the bulb when it's having its big long stalks, because you can imagine how top heavy they get. And I don't really want it tipping over. The old one used to tip over. And I thought maybe having a few stones at the bottom would help ground it, you know, if the roots tend to go into that. But we shall leave it like that. I'm very pleased with that. I think that looks like it was maybe just built for my Amaryllis. Gorgeous. Right. I'll give you a wee update in a while when I put the little orchids in some compost, and then they'll need to be left to recover from their antics. And hopefully the big Amaryllis bulb will, there's dirt coming off it, will continue to sprout once this sits right. It's quite cold actually, the bulb. It's been outside, so this will help it get back to room temperature and be in room temperature water and encourage it to grow. The little baby bulblets, I'm a wee bit concerned that they're gonna get squished by the sides of the vase, but we'll sort it over time. Okay, see you later. Okay, we're back. So this is my potting up area, and I've got stuff for houseplants in here just now, or stuff from Amaryllis, but I'm going to just pot up the little new orchids in here, just to save any mess. And I've got this Verve orchid compost. I use all sorts of orchid compost, but I find this one can be used as a good mixture. I think if it's just orchid bark, it can be a bit too free draining, doesn't retain anything. But if you've got a mix, like this is a mix, it's got little bits of ceramic-y bits and the bark and a bit of moss and stones and things. I like that mix. And it doesn't matter if any of it goes into my houseplanty compost mix, because I use a lot of these things anyway. I'm just going to put some in each of the pots. It's quite cold because it's been in the sun lounge, which is unheated. Oh, imagine to drop it everywhere. Right. So, filling it up to a certain level. Now we'll get this guy first. So his roots have greened up, but he doesn't have a huge amount of roots. So he's my one that I would be most worried about. Just going to kind of balance him like this. And fill in the orchid compost mix round and about. some bits that fell down there. So I'm going to cover the existing roots just to anchor it. There weren't any aerial roots as such, just those existing ones. Push it down a little bit. I think that'll be okay for that guy. You see him there? We'll do the other one with the better roots. He's got a lot better roots actually. Gently into here. These roots are green, spongy, absorbed a lot of moisture. We'll do exactly the same with him. Fill him up. Now, generally when an orchid is repotted, it gets quite a lot of shock. It takes a while to settle down. That's why you don't do it very often, among other things. So these guys, I can imagine, we'll put them in a quiet, warm windowsill and they can just get used to their new situation and the fact they were probably in their shops for ages on the ground or uncared for. There we go. Right. There we go. Quite happy with that. They're both potted up nicely. Little plastic Tupperware thing. I'm going to pop them in there. And you guessed it. I'm going to pour all the water with the food in it that they've been sitting in over them. And they're going to sit in it a bit longer to get saturated. I dare say there's food in this compost as well. There we go. They can sit in it for a little bit. And then, oops, it'll be a while before they get watered again. Roots are just rising out a little bit, so for a bit more composty stuff on there until they get used to their new, well, they're old pots filled with new stuff. Get bedded in, and then take them out, allow them to drain, and hopefully we would have given them a better start to their lives. Fingers crossed, hey? We'll do some updates as we go along. Sorry, you're way down here. We'll do some updates and let you know how they're getting on. Even if they die, we'll do some updates. Okay, we'll speak soon. Bye-bye.